Marcus Webb stood at the back of the auction hall, watching wealthy bidders wave their tablets for mining rights and colony permits. He was not here for those expensive items. Marcus was a salvage contractor, a man who fixed broken things and sold them for profit. Today, he was hunting for something everyone else thought was worthless. Next item, the auctioneer called out, Hangar 47 on Cester 7. Starting bid is $1. The room went silent. Nobody raised their hand. Marcus smiled. Going once. Going twice. Marcus raised his hand. $1. The auctioneer looked surprised but nodded. Sold to the human in the back for $1. As Marcus walked forward to complete the purchase, he heard other bidders laughing. A Velk merchant shook his head. Fool human, that hangar has been sealed for 300 years. Whatever is inside is completely dead. Marcus signed the digital papers and smiled politely. Maybe, but dead things can teach us a lot. The Vel merchant snorted. It is all yours. We are happy to be rid of it. 3 days later, Marcus arrived at Castor 7 with his small crew. The planet was a frontier colony world, busy with mining operations and trade stations. But Hangar 47 sat far from the busy areas in an abandoned section of the old starport. Sarah Chen, Marcus's engineer, looked up at the massive structure. Boss, this thing is huge. How big is the ship? Inside records say it is 3 times larger than any modern warship, Marcus replied. The previous owners tried to scan it 50 years ago. Every scan showed the same thing. The ship is completely non-functional. No power, no systems, nothing. Then why buy it? Asked Tommy, their young apprentice. Marcus walked toward the hangar entrance. Because if the ship is really dead, why did the Velk keep the hangar sealed for 300 years? Why not just scrap it? Why not just scrap it? Sarah followed him carrying her tools. Maybe they were scared of something. Maybe, Marcus said quietly. Or maybe they just did not understand what they had. The hangar doors were massive, 50 meters tall and covered in strange symbols. Marcus ran his hand over the markings. His translator device scanned them, but struggled. Warning signs, Sarah said, reading her scanner. These symbols are from 12 different extinct civilizations. They all say the same thing. Danger. Do not enter. Protected space. Tommy stepped back nervously. Boss, maybe this was a bad idea. Marcus smiled. Tommy, every good salvage job starts with a warning sign. It means there is something valuable inside. He pressed his new access code into the door panel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then with a deep grinding sound, the ancient doors began to open. Cold air rushed out from inside. The lights inside the hangar flickered on automatically, revealing the massive space beyond. Marcus and his crew stood in silence, staring. The hangar was enormous. The ceiling stretched into darkness. And in the center, resting on ancient support structures, was the ship. It was massive. Even from the entrance, Marcus could see that this vessel had once been powerful, but now it looked like a dying giant. Hull plates were missing from the sides. Metal beams were exposed and rusting. Strange plants had grown through cracks in the armor, their roots spreading across the ship's surface like veins. The Eternal Vigil, Sarah whispered, reading the name from her scanner. That is what the old records call it. Marcus walked forward slowly. His boots echoed on the hangar floor. It is beautiful. It is junk, Tommy said nervously. Boss, can we take what we need and leave? This place feels wrong. Marcus understood what Tommy meant. The hangar felt empty but not quiet. It felt like something was watching them. Let me just get close to the ship, Marcus said. I want to see what condition the main hull is in. He walked across the hangar floor toward the massive vessel. Sarah and Tommy followed their footsteps, echoing in the vast space. The ship towered above them, blocking out the lights from the ceiling. Marcus reached out to touch the hull the moment his hand made contact with the metal. Everything changed. Every light in the hangar blazed to full brightness. Then they all went dark. Emergency lights flickered on in red, casting strange shadows across the floor. The air temperature dropped suddenly, making Marcus's breath visible. What is happening? Sarah shouted. A sound filled the hangar. Not one sound, but many sounds layered on top of each other. Voices. Hundreds of voices speaking at once in languages Marcus did not recognize. His translator device screamed with error messages as it tried to understand. Then the screens came to life. Every monitor, every display panel in the hangar activated at once. They all showed the same thing, a symbol Marcus had never seen before. It looked like an eye inside a circle of thorns. A voice spoke. It was deep and layered with harmonics, like a choir singing in unison. Sentinel protocol active. The voice came from everywhere, from speakers Marcus could not see. From the walls themselves, from the air around them. Unauthorized presence detected. Tommy grabbed Marcus's arm. Boss, we need to leave now. But Marcus stood still watching. Something about this felt familiar. He had worked with old AI systems before. This felt like one, but much older and much more powerful than anything he had ever encountered. Departure recommended. The voice continued. This space is protected. Protected by what Marcus asked loudly. Who are you? The lights flickered again. The temperature dropped further. Marcus could see frost forming on the metal surfaces around him. Then the images started. The screens showed figures humanoid, but not human. They wore uniforms Marcus did not recognize. They were screaming silently, running through the hangar, terror on their faces. The images were memories, recordings of something that had happened long ago. These are previous intruders, Sarah whispered. It is showing us what happened to them. The images continued. The figures in the recordings fled the hangar, stumbling and falling. None of them appeared injured, but their faces showed pure horror. Some clawed at the doors, desperate to escape. Others simply collapsed, overcome by fear. They all left alive, Marcus observed. Whatever this guardian is, it does not kill. It frightens. It is doing a good job, Tommy said, his voice shaking. Boss, please, let us go. But Marcus stepped forward instead. Sarah, Tommy, go back to the entrance. I want to try something. Marcus, Sarah started to protest. Go, I will be fine. If I am not out in 10 minutes, seal the hangar and leave. Reluctantly, his crew backed toward the entrance. Marcus turned to face the ship again. The voice continued its warnings, and the images of frightened people played on endless loops. I am not leaving, Marcus said clearly. I bought this hangar legally. I have the right to be here. The voice paused. For the first time since the chaos began, there was silence. Marcus took advantage of the moment. You are an artificial intelligence, correct? A guardian system. Another pause then. Sentinel protocol active. Yes, I understand you are protecting something, but what are you protecting? The pause was longer this time. The red lights flickered. When the voice spoke again, it sounded different, uncertain, almost confused. I do not remember. Marcus felt his heart skip. This was it, the crack in the system, the moment of connection. He spoke more gently now. You do not remember what you are guarding. I remember that I must guard. I remember duty. I remember fear. But I do not remember why. The images on the screens changed. Instead of frightened intruders, they showed something else. Fragments of memories. A crew working together. Laughter and a Massal hands touching controls, flying the ship through stars. Who were they? Marcus asked softly. The people in these memories. The voice was quieter now, almost sad. I do not remember. I only remember that I must protect them. I must protect this ship. I must. The voice trailed off into silence. Marcus stood in the cold red-lit hangar, looking up at the ancient warship. He understood now. This was not just a defense system. This was something or someone that had been alone for a very long time. My name is Marcus, he said. I am not here to hurt anything. I am here to help. Will you let me try? For a long moment, nothing happened. Then slowly the normal lights came back on. The temperature began to rise. The frightening images faded from the screens. The voice spoke one more time, and this time it sounded almost hopeful. No one has asked that question before. No one has stayed to listen. Why are you different? Marcus smiled. Because I am human, and humans see value in things that others think are broken. Son, I'm Caesar. I'm Cecil. The sentinel did not respond, but Marcus felt something change in the air around him. The feeling of being watched remained, but it no longer felt threatening. It felt curious. Marcus turned and walked back to where Sarah and Tommy waited at the entrance. They both looked relieved to see him alive and unharmed. Well, Sarah asked, what now? Marcus looked back at the massive warship sitting in his ancient hangar, guarded by a lonely artificial intelligence that could not remember why. Now, Marcus said, we come back tomorrow. Part 2, the conversation protocol. Marcus returned to Hangar 47 the next morning. This time he came alone. Sarah had tried to stop him. Boss, that thing almost froze us to death yesterday. At least take Tommy with you, but Marcus shook his head. The Sentinel was scared yesterday. We came as a group with tools and scanners. We looked like a threat. Today I go alone. I go as a friend. He carried only a small bag with him. Inside was a portable hologram projector, a thermos of coffee, and a folding chair. No weapons, no heavy equipment, just the tools for a conversation. The hangar doors opened when Marcus entered his code. He walked inside slowly, his footsteps echoing in the vast space. The lights came on normally. This time, no red emergency lighting, no sudden cold. Good morning, Marcus called out. I am back. Is that okay with you? For a moment, there was no response. Then the sentinel's voice filled the hangar. It still sounded layered and strange, but less threatening than before. You returned. Why? Marcus smiled. He set down his bag and pulled out the folding chair. Because yesterday you asked me a question. You wanted to know why I was different. I thought you deserved a real answer. He sat down in the chair, opened his thermos, and poured himself a cup of coffee. The simple, normal action seemed to confuse the sentinel. The voice was silent for several seconds. You are sitting down, yes. Conversations are better when you are comfortable. Marcus took a sip of coffee. Would you like to see something interesting? I brought something for you. I do not require anything. Maybe not, but I think you might enjoy it anyway. Marcus pulled out the hologram projector and activated it. The device created a glowing sphere in the air, a three-dimensional map of the local galaxy. Stars and planets rotated slowly, labels appearing in multiple languages. This is what the galaxy looks like now, Marcus explained. 300 years have passed since this hangar was sealed. Many things have changed. The lights in the hangar dimmed slightly, as if the Sentinel was focusing on the hologram. The Vel Consortium controls this sector now. They did not control it before. You remember before, Marcus asked carefully. I remember fragments pieces. The Theox Empire controlled this sector, but the Theox are gone now. Marcus nodded. The Theox civilization fell about 400 years ago. The Vel moved in after they left. The Sentinel was quiet for a long moment. When it spoke again, the voice sounded sad. 400 years. I have been here much longer than I thought. Booty. Booty. How long have you been here? Marcus asked gently. I do not know. Time became difficult to track. I remember the ship arriving. I remember the doors closing. I remember my purpose beginning. After that, only waiting, only guarding. Marcus leaned forward. Can you tell me about the ship, about the eternal vigil? The hologram projector flickered. The image of the galaxy disappeared, replaced by something else, a memory. Marcus saw the eternal vigil as it had once been, flying through space. The hull was perfect and shining. Weapons lined its sides. It looked powerful and beautiful. It was a warship, the Sentinel said, built by the Kale civilization. They were builders of great vessels, warriors of honor. The Kale are extinct now, Marcus said quietly. I am sorry. The hologram showed more memories. The Kale people, tall and elegant, with 4 arms and crystalline eyes. They worked together on the ship, laughing and celebrating. Then the images became darker. Marcus saw battles, explosions, grief, war. The Sentinel whispered, so much war. The Kale fought for 3 generations. They won their battles, but they lost their future. When the wars ended, only a few remained. What happened to them? Marcus asked. The hologram flickered and changed again. Marcus saw the eternal vigil being decommissioned. The weapons were being removed. The Kale crew stood together on the bridge, holding hands in a circle. They made a choice, the Sentinel said. The crew of the eternal vigil. They did not want to leave their ship. They did not want to fade into history, so they became me. Marcus sat up straight. What do you mean the Sentinel is not one consciousness? I am many. I am all of them. The captain, the navigator, the engineers, the medical staff, the soldiers. They uploaded themselves into the hangar's defense system. They chose to become guardians of their ship rather than watch it be forgotten. Marcus felt a chill that had nothing to do with temperature. You are the crew, all of them. I was the crew, the Sentinel corrected. But time is cruel to digital minds. Memories fade, personalities blend together. Now I am fragments of what they were. I remember duty, but not names. I remember purpose, but not faces. I remember that I must protect, but not what I am protecting from. The hologram showed something heartbreaking. The Sentinel's own memory corruption over time. Marcus saw clear recordings from the early years full of distinct voices and personalities. Then he saw those recordings degrade, blur, and merge together over centuries until only the core programming remained. You have been alone for so long, Marcus said softly. Yes, intruders came sometimes. I frightened them away. It was my purpose, but no one ever stayed. No one ever asked me questions. You are the first. Marcus stood up and walked closer to the ship. The fear you showed us yesterday, the cold, the images, the voices, that was not an attack, was it? No, it was communication. When you cannot remember words, fear is clearer. Fear makes people listen. Fear makes them remember, but it also makes them leave. You have been trying to tell your story, Marcus realized, but everyone runs away before you can finish. Yes, the Sentinel's voice sounded almost relieved that someone finally understood. I do not want to harm anyone. I only want to protect. I only want to be remembered, but I am broken, fragmented. I am not whole anymore. Marcus walked around the ship slowly, looking up at its massive bulk. You said the crew became you to protect the ship, but I have seen the scans. This ship has no power, no functional systems. It is, as others say, junk. Why guard something that does not work? The lights in the hangar pulsed in a strange rhythm. Marcus realized it was hesitation. There is something you are not telling me, Marcus said gently. Something important. I cannot remember if I am allowed to tell. The protocols are unclear. So much has been forgotten. Then let me ask a different question. Do you want to be alone anymore? The response was immediate and certain. No. Do you want to remember who you were? Yes, more than anything. Marcus pulled out a small data pad from his pocket. Then let me help you. You would do that. Why? Marcus smiled. Yesterday you asked why I am different. Here is the answer. Humans believe that everything deserves a second chance. The ship, the memories, you, all of it. Nothing is truly junk if someone cares enough to restore it. The sentinel was quiet for a long time. Then slowly a single screen on the wall activated. That is okay, Marcus said. Trust takes time. How about we start small? Can you show me one memory? One clear memory from before you fragmented. The hologram projector activated again without Marcus touching it. The sentinel was controlling it now. An image appeared. A Kale engineer working on a panel humming a melody. The engineer was making a joke to someone off screen, and warm laughter filled the hangar. Jarek the sentinel whispered. The engineer's name was Jarek. He loved puzzles. He could fix anything. He sang while he worked. That is a beautiful memory, Marcus said. Do you have more like that? Yes, I think so. They are buried deep in my fragmented code. But they are there. Then here's my proposal. Marcus said I come back every day. We talk. We work together. You show me your memories and I help you organize them. Slowly, piece by piece, we rebuild who you were. And maybe together we figure out what this ship is really meant to protect. Why would you spend your time on this? Because yesterday I bought a hangar for $1. Today I found out I also bought a friend who has been waiting 300 years for someone to listen. That seems like a good deal to me. For the first time since Marcus had entered the hangar, he heard something new. A sound that might have been laughter, though it was layered with many voices at once. You are strange, Marcus Webb. I have been told that before. Another screen activated on the wall. This one showed a schematic, a map of the ship's interior. One section was highlighted in blue. Deep in the ship's core, there is something I remember, the sentinel said slowly. Something important. A chamber that never appears on scans. The crew hid it deliberately. I think that is what I am meant to guard. Marcus looked at the map carefully. What is in the chamber, I do not remember clearly, but the fragments of memory I have, they feel warm, important, precious, not weapons, something else. Can you open it? No. The chamber requires physical access. Codes must be entered manually. Repairs must be made to the ship's systems to even reach it. I have no hands, no body. I can only watch and guard. Marcus smiled. Well, lucky for you, I have hands and I have a crew who are excellent at repairs. If you trust us enough, we can help. The sentinel's presence seemed to shift in the air around him. Marcus could not explain how he knew, but he felt it. The ancient AI was making a decision. Finally, the sentinel spoke. For 300 years, I have been alone. For 300 years, I have forgotten myself. Piece by piece, you are offering me hope. Hope is frightening after so long without it. I know, Marcus said softly, but hope is also worth the risk. Very well, Marcus Webb. I will trust you, but if you betray this trust, I will ensure you regret it. Fair enough, Marcus agreed. All the screens in the hangar activated at once. They showed blueprints, schematics, memory fragments, and data files. Centuries worth of information flooding outward like a dam breaking. This is everything I remember. The sentinel said, this is everything I am. Help me become whole again. Marcus looked at the overwhelming amount of data and grinned. Sarah is going to love this project. As he walked toward the exit to call his crew, the sentinel spoke once more. Marcus, thank you. Thank you for staying. Thank you for listening. Marcus turned back and smiled at the massive warship and the broken AI that guarded it. That is what friends do, he said simply. For the first time in 300 years, the sentinel did not feel alone. Sarah Chen stood in the middle of Hangar 47 looking at the data screens covering every wall. Her eyes were wide with amazement. Boss, this is incredible. This AI has 3,000 years of records stored in its systems. Engineering logs, personal journals, cultural archives, everything. Marcus smiled as he watched his engineer work. 2 weeks had passed since his first real conversation with the Sentinel. Now his entire crew was here working alongside the ancient Guardian. Tommy climbed down from a ladder where he had been repairing a power conduit. The Sentinel just told me a joke, a 30,000-year-old joke about star navigation. I did not understand it, but I think it was funny. That is Jarek's humor. The Sentinel's voice came from the speakers, sounding warmer than before. He was always making jokes that only engineers understood. I am remembering more of his personality now. Marcus looked up at the screen showing the Sentinel's restored memories. Over the past 2 weeks, they had made remarkable progress. Sarah had developed a program to help organize the AI's fragmented data. Slowly, the individual personalities of the original crew were emerging from the chaos. How many distinct personalities have we recovered so far? Marcus asked. Sarah checked her tablet. 47 crew members. We have clear memory fragments from each of them. The Sentinel is still one unified consciousness, but now it can access who each person was, their names, their roles, their personalities. It feels strange, the Sentinel admitted, like waking from a very long dream. I remember being Jirok the engineer. I remember being Captain Valora. I remember being young medic Tesh, who was scared during her first space battle. I am all of them, but now I can see them clearly again. Marcus walked toward the eternal vigil carrying his tools. Then let us keep going. Today, we reach the hidden chamber. Right. Yes, the Sentinel replied. If your repairs to the power systems are successful, we can open the path to the core. But Marcus, I must warn you, I am starting to remember why the chamber was hidden. Everyone stopped working and looked at the speakers. What do you remember? Marcus asked carefully. The main screen showed an image, Captain Valora standing before her crew, her forearms spread wide in a gesture of determination. The Kale fought a terrible war. The Sentinel began. We won, but at great cost. Our civilization was dying. Our people were scattered. Captain Valora gathered the crew of the Eternal Vigil and told them the truth. The Kale would not survive as a species. Sarah sat down, listening intently. Tommy moved closer to hear better, but the captain had a plan. The Sentinel continued. The Kale had created wonderful things during our time. Art, music, science, philosophy. We had also created terrible things. Weapons, strategies of war, methods of destruction. Captain Valora asked, what if we could separate the two? What if we could preserve only the good and hide it for the future? The hidden chamber, Marcus said quietly. That is what is inside the good parts of your civilization. Yes, the crew spent their final years creating an archive. Not just records, but something more. They called them seeds. Complete blueprints for peaceful technology, healing methods, cultural knowledge and wisdom. Everything that could help other civilizations avoid the mistakes we made. Sarah stood up excitedly. Medical technology. Are you saying there might be cures for diseases in there? I believe so, but I also remember warnings. The captain was afraid. She worried that if the wrong people found the archive, they would misuse it. They would take the knowledge of healing and turn it into knowledge of harm. That is why the chamber is hidden. That is why I guard it. Marcus understood. Now you are not just protecting the ship. You are protecting the future, yes. And now I must decide, are you the right people to receive this gift? Are humans ready for this responsibility? The question hung in the air. Marcus looked at Sarah and Tommy, then back at the screens showing the Sentinel's memories. I cannot answer that for all humans, Marcus said honestly. I can only tell you what we will do. We will treat your gift with respect. We will share it carefully, and we will honor the memory of the Kyle by using it to help people, not harm them. The Sentinel was quiet for a long moment. Finally, it spoke. Captain Valora believed that the right people would prove themselves not through words, but through actions. You have already shown me kindness when you could have shown fear. You have shown patience when you could have shown greed. You have helped me remember when you could have simply taken what you wanted. The lights in the hangar brightened. The screens all showed the same image. The schematic of the ship's core, with a path now highlighted in green. The power is restored. The Sentinel announced the path to the chamber is open. Let us see what the Kale left behind. Tomo. Marcus, Sarah, and Tommy put on safety gear and entered the Eternal Vigil through a cargo airlock. The inside of the ship was dark and cold. Their helmet lights cut through the darkness as they walked through ancient corridors. These walls are covered in more writing, Sarah observed. It is poetry. Each section of the ship has poems written by different crew members. Tommy read one aloud, his translator converting the ancient Kale language. We sailed among the stars in ships of war, but dreamed of ships of peace. May those who find us learn from both. They moved deeper into the ship following the Sentinel's guidance. The AI's voice came through their helmet speakers, sounding almost nervous. I have not been inside the ship since I became the Guardian. This feels strange, familiar, but distant, like visiting a childhood home after many years away. They reached a sealed door marked with symbols. Marcus recognized some of them from his first day in the hangar. Warnings about protected spaces. But now he could read the full message. This chamber contains the legacy of the KL people. May it be opened only by those who seek to build, not destroy. Sarah entered the code sequence the Sentinel provided. The door hissed and slowly slid open, revealing a chamber beyond. They stepped inside and gasped. The chamber was massive and filled with light. Crystalline structures covered every surface, glowing with soft colors. In the center stood a pedestal holding a sphere made of the same crystalline material. It is beautiful, Tommy whispered. It is the archive, the Sentinel said, its voice filled with emotion. 3,000 years and it still functions perfectly. The KL built it to last forever. Marcus approached the sphere carefully. How does it work? Touch it. The archive will do the rest. Marcus reached out and placed his hand on the crystal sphere. Immediately, light flooded his vision. Information poured into his mind, not overwhelming, but clear and organized. He saw medical techniques that could heal injuries that were considered permanent. He saw energy systems that could power cities without pollution. He saw agricultural methods that could feed billions. But more than that, he saw the Kale themselves. He saw their culture, their art, their philosophy. He understood their mistakes and their triumphs. He felt their hope that someday someone would find this gift and use it wisely. Marcus pulled his hand back, breathing heavily. It is real. All of it. This could change everything. Sarah touched the sphere next, then Tommy. Both had the same reaction. Wonder mixed with overwhelming responsibility. There is medical knowledge in here that could cure diseases we have struggled with for centuries, Sarah said, tears in her eyes. Cancer, neural degeneration, genetic disorders. The Kale solved all of them. And conflict resolution frameworks. Tommy added, I saw entire sections on how to prevent wars, how to negotiate peace, how to help different species understand each other. The Sentinel's voice was quiet but proud. The captain wanted to give the galaxy something good to remember the Kale by. Not weapons, not conquest, just knowledge and hope. Marcus looked at the crystal sphere, his mind racing with possibilities. We need to share this, but carefully. The Sentinel is right in the wrong hands. Even healing knowledge can be twisted. What will you do? The Sentinel asked. Before Marcus could answer, an alarm sounded through their helmets. Sarah checked her tablet, her face going pale. Boss, we have a problem. There are ships entering the Kestor 7 system. A lot of ships, who Marcus demanded. The Velk Consortium. And they are broadcasting a legal claim. They say they are reclaiming Hangar 47 and all its contents. They say they made a mistake selling it and want it back. Marcus felt his stomach drop. How long until they arrive? 3 hours. Tommy looked panicked. They can't do that, can they? You bought this legally. Legal does not always mean fair, Sarah said grimly. The Velk are powerful. They have money and lawyers and influence. If they want something, they usually get it. Marcus looked at the archive, then at the chamber around them. 3,000 years of hope and wisdom hidden away and protected. And now powerful people wanted to take it. Sentinel, Marcus said slowly. If the Velk take control of the hangar, what will happen? They will take the archive. They will study it. They will sell the knowledge to the highest bidder. Medical cures will be patented and sold for profit. Technology will be controlled by corporations. The Kale's gift will become just another commodity. That is not what the captain wanted, Marcus said firmly. No, but I am just a guardian. I cannot stop governments and corporations. I can only frighten individuals who enter the hangar against an organized force with legal authority. I am powerless. No. Marcus stood in the glowing chamber, surrounded by 3,000 years of accumulated wisdom, and made a decision. Then we need to make sure they cannot take it. We need to show the galaxy what this archive really means. We need to make it impossible for anyone to control or hide this gift. How? Sarah asked. Marcus smiled, an idea forming in his mind. The Sentinel said, Captain Valora believed the right people would prove themselves through actions, not words. So let us take action. Let us show the galaxy what humans do when we find something precious. What do you have in mind, boss? Tommy asked nervously. Marcus looked at each of them, then at the archive glowing on its pedestal. We are going to give it away, all of it, to everyone for free. The Sentinel's voice rose in surprise. What the Vel want to control the archive because it has value. But what if we remove that value by sharing everything before they arrive? What if we broadcast the archive's contents to every university, every hospital, every research station in the galaxy? Sarah's eyes went wide. An open transmission, no patents, no copyrights, just free knowledge for everyone. Exactly. They cannot take what they already cannot control. But Marcus the Sentinel said carefully, that means you will gain nothing from this discovery. You could be wealthy beyond measure if you controlled this knowledge. You could charge for access, sell patents, negotiate deals. Instead, you choose to give it all away. Marcus looked up at the speakers where the Sentinel's voice came from. The Kale crew gave up their lives to protect this gift. They spent their final years creating something beautiful to help others. The least I can do is honor that sacrifice by making sure their gift reaches everyone who needs it. You really are strange, Marcus Webb the Sentinel said softly. But I think Captain Valora would have liked you very much. Then help me, Marcus said. We have 3 hours. Can we transmit the archives' entire contents in that time? Yes, but Marcus, this decision cannot be undone. Once the knowledge is released, there is no taking it back. Good. Then let us begin. Marcus and his crew worked faster than they ever had before. Sarah connected the archive to the hangar's main communication array. Tommy helped route power from every system they had repaired. The Sentinel coordinated everything its restored memories, allowing it to work with incredible efficiency, broadcasting in all standard galactic frequencies. Sarah announced, her fingers flying across her control panel. Medical databases, research networks, public information channels we are sending to everyone. On the screens around them, data streamed outward. The archive's knowledge flowed like a river spreading across the galaxy at the speed of light. University servers received complete medical research. Hospital networks downloaded new treatment protocols. Asterisk scientific stations began receiving blueprints for clean energy systems. The Velk ships are getting closer, Tommy warned, checking his sensors. 9 minutes until they arrive. Will we finish in time? Marcus asked. The Sentinel's voice was confident. Yes, the archive was designed to share knowledge quickly. The Kyle understood that information only has value when it is used. We will complete the transmission with time to spare. Marcus watched the progress bars on the screens. 70% complete, 80%. The galaxy was receiving 3,000 years of accumulated wisdom, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. Boss, we are getting responses, Sarah said, her voice filled with wonder. Medical facilities are confirming receipt. They are already beginning to study the treatments. Some are crying. They are saying this will save millions of lives, quote. Marcus felt a warmth in his chest. This was right. This was what the Kale had wanted. Transmission complete. The Sentinel announced, the entire archive has been broadcast to 17,000 receiving stations across 43 different species territories. Everyone has access now, oui. Then it is done, Marcus said. Tommy looked nervous. But boss, what about the Vel? What do we tell them when they arrive? Marcus smiled. We tell them the truth. 40 minutes later, the Vel Consortium ships landed outside Hangar 47. 6 vessels, all bearing corporate insignia. Armed security personnel emerged, followed by lawyers carrying data pads and legal documents. The lead Vel representative was named Cross. He had been the merchant who laughed at Marcus during the auction. Now his expression was cold and angry. Marcus Webb Cross said formally, we are here to reclaim this hangar and its contents under Galactic Commercial Code Section 74. Our legal team has determined that the original sale was made in error. The Vel Consortium maintains ownership of all assets within this structure. Marcus stood at the hangar entrance, his crew beside him. He looked calm. I am sorry, Cross, but you are too late. Cross's eyes narrowed. Too late. We have legal authority. You will surrender the hangar immediately or we will take it by force. You misunderstand, Marcus said. I am not refusing to give you the hangar. You can have it if you want. But the thing you came for, the archive, is already gone. What are you talking about? Cross demanded. Sarah stepped forward, holding her tablet. Approximately 1 hour ago, we broadcast the entire contents of the Kale archive to the public domain. While every piece of medical knowledge, every technological blueprint, every bit of cultural wisdom, it is all freely available now to everyone, including you. Cross stared at her in disbelief. You gave it away. We have not. I would harding suffering for man. Yes, Marcus said simply. That is what the Kale wanted. They did not create the archive to be bought and sold. They created it to help people, so we help people. One of the lawyers checked his data pad frantically. His face went pale. Sir, he is telling the truth. The archive data is everywhere. Universities are publishing papers about it. Medical organizations are holding emergency conferences. Governments are issuing statements. It is completely public now. Cross's expression turned from anger to shock. Do you understand what you have done? That knowledge was worth billions, trillions. You could have been the wealthiest human in the galaxy. I understand perfectly, Marcus replied. I also understand that some things are more valuable than money. The Kale taught us that. Another Velk ship landed larger than the others. A tall Velk female emerged wearing formal robes that marked her as a high-ranking official. The other Vel immediately bowed respectfully. Magistrate Valora Cross said quickly, I did not know you were coming personally. The magistrate walked past Cross without acknowledging him. She approached Marcus, studying him carefully with her crystalline eyes. You are the human who bought this hangar for $1. Yes, magistrate. And you are the one who released the archive to the public. Yes. Magistrate Valora was quiet for a moment. Then she did something unexpected. She placed her right hand over her chest in a gesture of respect. I am descended from the Velk who originally sealed this hangar 300 years ago. My ancestors were afraid of what was inside. They did not understand it. So they locked it away and tried to forget about it. You did what we should have done. You opened it and shared it. Cross looked shocked, but magistrate the commercial value. Silence. Cross, Valora said sharply. Not everything in this galaxy is about profit. Sometimes there are more important things. She turned back to Marcus. The Vel Consortium's legal claim is withdrawn. This hangar and everything in it belongs to you, Marcus Webb. You bought it fairly and you have proven yourself worthy of the trust the Kale placed in their guardians. Thank you, Magistrate, Marcus said with genuine gratitude. Valora gestured to the hangar behind him. What will you do with it now? The archive is public, but the ship remains. Will you sell it for scrapwall? Marcus shook his head. No, I have a better idea. 6 months later, the Eternal Vigil Memorial opened to the public. Marcus stood on the main deck of the ancient warship watching as visitors from a dozen different species walked through the carefully restored corridors. The ship had been transformed. Where weapons bays once held instruments of war, they now held galleries displaying Kale art and culture. Where soldiers once slept, visitors now found libraries filled with the history of the lost civilization. The command deck had become a place for meditation and reflection. A sign at the entrance read, Remember the cost of war. Choose the path of peace. Sarah approached Marcus smiling. The visitor count today is already over 3,000. We have people traveling from across the galaxy to see this place. What do they say? Marcus asked. They say it is beautiful. They say it is hot. They say it makes them think. Sarah looked around at the transformed ship. The medical technology from the archive has already saved over 10 million lives. The agricultural methods are helping solve food shortages on 7 colonies. The clean energy systems are being adopted by 12 different civilizations and the conflict resolution frameworks. 2 wars were prevented last month using negotiation techniques from the archive. Diplomats are calling it revolutionary. Marcus smiled. The Kale would be proud. Tommy ran up to them excited. Boss, you need to see this. Come to the memorial chamber. They followed him through the ship to what had been the hidden chamber. The crystal archive still stood on its pedestal, but now it was surrounded by something new. Thousands of small plaques covering the walls. Each plaque bore a name. What are these? Marcus asked. They started arriving last week, Tommy explained. People whose lives were saved by the archive's medical knowledge. Families who can now feed their children because of the agricultural techniques. Scientists who solved problems using the archive's research. They all sent plaques to honor the KL. Marcus walked along the wall reading the names and messages. There were thousands and more arrived every day. Each one was a life touched by the Kale's final gift. The Sentinel's voice filled the chamber warm and clear. Captain Valora hoped that someday someone would remember the Kale for something other than war. I think her wish has been granted. Over the past 6 months, the Sentinel had changed. With its memories restored and a new purpose, it was no longer a broken guardian creating fear. It had become a teacher guiding visitors through the ship and sharing stories of the Kale people. How do you feel? Marcus asked the AI. Complete, the Sentinel replied. For 3,000 years I existed only to guard. Now I exist to share, to teach, to help. I remember who I was. 47 individuals who chose to give their final years to something greater than themselves. I am honored to continue their work. AI, a group of young students entered the chamber, their teacher explaining the history of the archive. The Sentinel began telling them stories of the Kale engineers, the brave captain, the young medic who was once afraid. The children listened with wide eyes, asking questions, learning. Marcus watched them and felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Marcus Sarah said quietly, "You could have been the richest person in the galaxy. Does it bother you giving it all away?" Marcus looked around at the memorial, at the children learning, at the families paying respects, at the visitors from across the galaxy coming together to honor a lost civilization. "Sarah, I paid $1 for a hangar. Look what I got in return." He gestured to the memorial around them. "I got to help restore the memory of an entire civilization. I got to see medical knowledge save millions of lives. I got to watch the Sentinel become whole again. I got to make sure the Kale's sacrifice meant something. How could money ever compare to that?" Sarah smiled. "You are a strange boss, Marcus Webb. I have been told that before." That evening, after the visitors had left, Marcus sat alone on the bridge of the Eternal Vigil. The stars were visible through the ancient viewports. The galaxy stretched out before him, vast and beautiful. The Sentinel's voice spoke softly. "Marcus, may I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you regret your $1 purchase?" Marcus laughed. "That is the easiest question you have ever asked me. No, I have never regretted it for a single moment. Best dollar I ever spent." The lights on the bridge flickered in a pattern Marcus had learned to recognize the Sentinel's way of expressing happiness. "I am grateful you found me," the Sentinel said. "You could have run away when I tried to frighten you. You could have given up when I could not remember. You could have taken the archive for yourself when you discovered it, but you did none of those things." Why? Marcus thought about the question carefully. "Because I am human, and humans believe that the best things in life are not the things we keep for ourselves. They are the things we share with others. A strange philosophy maybe, but it works for us." The Sentinel was quiet for a moment. Then it said, "The Kale had a saying, the stars remember all that we do. Let us give them something beautiful to remember." You have given the stars something beautiful, Marcus Webb. Thank you. Marcus looked out at the stars, thinking about the Kale crew who had given up everything to create one final gift for the future. He thought about Captain Valora and her hope that someone would find that gift and use it wisely. He thought about the millions of lives that had been saved and improved because of their sacrifice. "No," Marcus said softly. "Thank you. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for letting me be part of something greater than myself." In the distance, another ship was landing. More visitors coming to see the memorial, to learn the Kale's story, to honor their sacrifice. The Eternal Vigil would never sail through space again. But it had found a more important purpose. It had become a bridge between past and future. A reminder that even in death, a civilization could give life. A testament that the best legacies are not built on conquest, but on kindness. And it had all started with a human who saw value where others saw junk, who chose sharing over hoarding, who paid $1 and received something priceless in return. The Sentinel spoke one last time that night, its voice filled with peace. "Welcome home, Captain Valora. Welcome home, Jarek. Welcome home, all of you. We are finally doing what you hoped for. We are teaching, we are helping, we are remembered." And in the memorial chamber, surrounded by thousands of grateful voices from across the galaxy, the ancient guardian who had once been 47 frightened souls finally found rest. The Eternal Vigil stood as a monument, not to war, but to the enduring power of hope, sacrifice, and one human's belief that everything and everyone deserves a second chance.